Hello everyone. Before we begin, a small request. If you find this interesting, don't forget to hit like and write a few words below. Your feedback is invaluable to me. Your awakening is not merely the start of a new day, but the solemn return of consciousness from the abyss of sleep, the first act of will that determines whether you will become the master of your passions or their slave in this world where chaos seems to be the only constant. When you open your eyes and feel the weight of the blanket and the softness of the pillow, remember that the first thing you must declare to yourself is a clear recognition of the boundaries of your power and your powerlessness before the face of the vast universe. The first thought you must implant into your mind sounds like this: I possess authority only over my judgments, intentions, and actions. Everything else lies outside my control, and therefore should not disturb my soul. Imagine that your day is a voyage across a restless ocean where you cannot command the wind or the waves, but you are the only one who holds the helm, and it depends solely on your skill whether the vessel remains balanced. This dichotomy of control, which Epictetus insisted upon so persistently, is the foundation of your tranquility, because most people begin their morning with anxiety about the weather, about their boss's opinion, about traffic jams, or about political news. Things they cannot change. They squander their precious life energy trying to grasp steam that cannot be held in their hands, while the true treasure, their mind, remains neglected and disordered. Tell yourself every morning that your body, your property, your reputation, and even your loved ones are external circumstances given to you for temporary use by the great law of nature. If you realize this, then no failure at work, no broken appliance, or harsh word from a passerby can throw you off balance, because you have drawn a line between yourself and the world in advance. Your inner fortress is built not of stone, but of unshakable confidence that good and evil lie exclusively in your choice, not in what happens around you. You must wake up with the understanding that your only task today is to preserve the purity of your mind and act according to your nature as a rational being. Look at your hands and consider that they were made for labor, just as feet were made for walking and eyes for seeing. Therefore, any resistance to the difficulties of the day is merely the fulfillment of your purpose. When you rise from bed, do not allow softness or laziness to seize your mind. Instead, tell yourself that you awaken to perform the work of a human being, the work for which you were born, and in which lies the entire meaning of your existence in this brief interval between beginning and oblivion. The second truth you must accept before taking your first sip of water or stepping outside your home concerns the people you are bound to encounter. And this is Marcus Aurelius' reminder that the world is not perfect. Tell yourself, today I will meet with intrusive, ungrateful, insolent, deceitful, envious, and unsociable people who will try to wound me or impose their will upon me. But immediately add that all these vices arise in them from ignorance of true good and evil, and that they are as much parts of the single organism of nature as you are yourself. You cannot be angry at your hand if it accidentally strikes a doorframe. So why should you be angry at a person who acts unjustly out of their own ignorance and spiritual blindness? The realization that no one can truly harm you unless you decide that harm has been inflicted gives you incredible strength and freedom in social interactions. Imagine a situation at the office where a colleague tries to take credit for your work, or your boss unfairly criticizes you in front of others. If you have told yourself in advance that you will meet such people, their behavior will not come as a surprise or a catastrophe. You will look at them with the compassion of a physician who sees the symptoms of an illness, rather than with the fury of a victim seeking retribution. Your morning should begin with an act of forgiveness for transgressions not yet committed against you, because the Stoic knows that another person's vice is their own misfortune and their own private hell, while your tranquility is your own private heaven. Life in society requires us to be like a rock against which waves constantly crash. but it stands motionless, and around it the fury of the water subsides. Tell yourself that no one's foolishness will make you abandon your virtue, and no one's malice will make you hate your brother by virtue of our shared human race. This does not mean weakness or passivity. It means the highest form of discipline, where you refuse to hand over the keys to your mood to random people. You must be prepared for your plans to be disrupted by someone's irresponsibility, and your task at that moment is not to complain about fate, but to find a way to show justice and courage in the new circumstances. Every person you meet is your teacher, testing how deeply you have absorbed the lessons of Stoicism, and whether you are ready to apply them in practice, not merely discuss them in the quiet of your study. The third reminder that should sound in your head every morning concerns the fragility and temporality of everything that surrounds you in this material reality. Seneca often urged us to look upon our possessions as something borrowed from nature, which may be reclaimed at any moment without warning or explanation. Tell yourself today that your house, your car, your smartphone, and even your dearest memories do not belong to you by right of ownership, but are merely lent to you for a time. If you begin your day with this thought, you will cease to be a slave to accumulation, and will stop experiencing terror at the possibility of losing anything. Look at the familiar objects in your room and imagine they have already disappeared or turned to dust. This is not pessimism, but the highest form of realism, which teaches you to value the moment. We often treat things and people as if they will be with us forever, and therefore, we waste time on pointless quarrels or postpone acts of love for later. The Stoic, however, tells himself, "I will use this object as if it were the last time in my hands, and I will interact with this person as if this were our final meeting before a long separation." Such practice sharpens one's perception of life immensely, and removes the unnecessary noise and fuss, making every action meaningful and full of weight. Imagine you are walking down the street and accidentally drop your expensive phone into a deep puddle. If you reminded yourself of the temporality of things in the morning, you will simply smile and tell yourself that nature decided to reclaim its loan a bit earlier than you expected. Your inner happiness cannot depend on a piece of plastic and glass or on the numbers in your bank account, because all of that is subject to decay and the whims of chance. Only your virtue and your character remain with you until the very end of the journey, and only they are worth caring for with such zeal. Tell yourself every morning that you are a guest in this world, and as a grateful guest, you enjoy the hospitality, but do not try to take the furniture with you when it is time to leave. This freedom from attachments makes you invulnerable to the blows of fate, because you have already agreed in advance to the rules of the game in which everything that has a beginning also has an end. You must learn to love things without possessing them, and to cherish people without trying to turn them into your property. For true love does not demand possession, but rather contemplation and the creation of good in the present moment. The fourth important idea that must be cemented in your consciousness at dawn is readiness to act for the common good and to fulfill your civic duty regardless of personal preferences. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that human beings are by nature social creatures, and one's personal flourishing is inextricably linked to the well-being of the entire human hive. Tell yourself today, "I am not merely an individual pursuing my narrow interests, but a cell in the vast organism of humanity, and my task is to function properly for the health of the whole." This means that every action of yours, from a simple reply to an email to making significant decisions, should be imbued with a striving for justice and benefit for those around you. If you feel too lazy to perform your work or wish to shirk responsibility, remember that you are depriving the world of the unique contribution that only you can make. Stoicism is not a philosophy of a hermit hiding in a cave, but a teaching for an active participant in life who stands at the center of events and preserves clarity of mind amidst the noise of battle. Tell yourself that you will act decisively and honestly, not for praise or reward, but because such is your nature as a rational and social being. Imagine that you help a colleague not because you expect a favor in return, but because it is right and natural, just as a root nourishes a tree trunk. Your morning should be filled with determination to be useful, no matter how small your sphere of influence. For even the tiniest drop contributes to the purity of the ocean. We often forget that our happiness directly depends on how well we align with our purpose, and the purpose of a human being is reason and cooperation. If during the day you catch yourself having selfish thoughts or a desire to elevate yourself at the expense of others, immediately return to your morning promise to be part of the whole. Your virtue manifests in small things, in how you hold the door for a stranger, in how you listen to a friend in distress, or in how you honestly perform a routine task that no one will check. The Stoic knows that the only way to live a worthy life is to make it a service to truth and society, while never losing one's inner autonomy. Upon waking, tell yourself that this day will offer you thousands of opportunities to show kindness and justice, and your task is not to miss a single one, because time passes irretrievably, and every unused chance is a lost part of your own soul. The fifth principle you must proclaim before starting your affairs is the concept of Amor Fati, or love of fate, which turns any obstacle into fuel for your inner fire. Nietzsche later developed this idea, but the Stoics were the first to understand that resistance to reality is the source of all our suffering and mental anguish. Tell yourself today, I do not merely accept everything that will happen to me, but I desire that everything happen exactly as it does happen, because in this lies the wisdom of the universe. If rain falls and ruins your plans for a walk, do not complain, but find joy in the sound of the droplets and the opportunity to read a book in the quiet of your home. If your car does not start, see it as a chance to practice patience and find a new way to reach your destination, or as an opportunity for an unexpected encounter on public transport. The Stoic does not simply endure the blows of fate. He welcomes them, like a coach who gives an athlete heavier weights to become stronger and more resilient. Every event in your life is material from which you sculpt your destiny. And if the material seems rough and unyielding, that is merely a challenge to your skill as a sculptor. Tell yourself every morning that there are no bad events, only your judgments about them, which color them in dark tones. If you learn to say yes to everything life sends you, you will become absolutely invincible, because nothing will be able to harm you or disrupt your true goals. Your goal is the development of character, and any conditions serve that purpose. Wealth and poverty, health and sickness, success and obscurity. Imagine that your life is a fire that consumes everything thrown into it, and only becomes brighter and hotter as a result, whereas a weak flame is extinguished by the slightest breeze. Be that flame which turns any fuel into light and warmth, and then your morning will always be filled with anticipation of adventure rather than fear of the unknown. This mindset allows you to stop fighting what has already happened and direct all your energy toward how you can best respond to the current situation. Love of fate is not passive resignation. It is active co-creation with reality, where you trust the overall course of events and know that everything that happens is necessary for the harmony of the whole, even if you cannot yet see the full picture. Awaken with the readiness to welcome any event, knowing that you possess within you the alchemy of reason, capable of turning the lead of difficulties into the gold of wisdom. The sixth, and perhaps deepest, thought to repeat to yourself every morning is the awareness of the finitude of your existence and the inevitability of the completion of your earthly cycle. We are accustomed to avoiding reflections on non-existence, considering them gloomy or depressing. But for the Stoic, this is the greatest tool of liberation and a source of inexhaustible vitality. Tell yourself this morning, this day may be the final chord in my symphony, and I must leave it in such a way that there is no room for regret, pettiness, or fear. When you understand that your time is the only truly non-renewable resource, you stop wasting it on pointless arguments on the internet, on watching meaningless content, or on chasing the specter of others' approval. Memento Mori is not a summons to sadness, but a hymn to life in its purest, most concentrated form. It forces you to discard everything superfluous and focus on what is essential. Imagine that you stand at the threshold of eternity and look back on today. Which of your current concerns will matter at that moment? You will see that resentment toward a neighbor or anxiety over a stain on your clothing dissolves like smoke, leaving only your honesty, your love for your loved ones, and your faithfulness to your principles. Tell yourself every morning that you are already dead to the past, and you have only this gifted instant of the present, which must be lived with maximum awareness. This realization makes you incredibly brave. For what can a person fear who has already accepted the fact of their future disappearance and made peace with it as a natural law? You begin to appreciate every breath, every ray of sunlight, and every word spoken by a dear person, with an intensity never known by those who live in the illusion of immortality. Seneca said that we die daily because each passing minute is a portion of our non-existence that will never return to us. Therefore, your awakening is an act of resurrection, and you must celebrate it with the quality of your thoughts and the nobility of your actions. Do not postpone life until tomorrow, because tomorrow may not arrive for your consciousness. But today it is here, and it belongs to you fully. Let this thought of the end of your journey be for you not a dark shadow, but a bright light that reveals the true contours of things and helps separate the wheat from the chaff. Live as if you have already lived a long life and have been given one more day as a gift. Use it to be the best version of yourself, not for the sake of tomorrow, but for the sake of the very beauty of virtue. Now that these 6 thoughts have formed your morning framework, you must understand how to unite them into a single stream of life that does not break under the pressure of external circumstances. Stoicism is not a set of dry rules, but a living art that requires constant practice, just as a musician tunes their instrument every day. Your morning is the time to tune your mind so that it resonates in unison with the logos of the universe and does not falter when faced with the cacophony of everyday life. Observe how you spend the first minutes after waking up. Do not reach for your phone. Do not immerse yourself in other people's lives through social media. Instead, remain in stillness with your thoughts. Your mind is a garden, and if you do not cultivate it each morning, it will quickly become overgrown with weeds of anxiety and thorns of greed. Begin with a deep breath and the awareness that you are alive, which in itself is the greatest good and miracle, and must not be taken for granted. Reflect on how Marcus Aurelius, as emperor of the most powerful state in the world, began his day with the same simple truths, reminding himself of modesty and duty. If a man who possessed absolute power found time for self-discipline and reflections on virtue, then surely you too can do so in your daily life. Your task is not to become a perfect sage in one day, but to take one small step toward self-mastery and clarity today. Imagine that each of your choices during the day is a stone in the foundation of your character, and you must lay them evenly and firmly so that the building does not collapse at the first storm. When you leave your home, carry within you this morning silence and calm, as a precious cup filled to the brim that you do not wish to spill. The Stoic is one who can maintain inner peace even when worlds collapse around him, and this state is achieved only through daily training of the mind. You will encounter resistance. You will feel all habits and emotional reactions trying to seize control of your behavior. But at that moment, recall your morning affirmations. Tell yourself, I foresaw this. I know this is outside my control, and I choose to respond according to reason, not passion. Gradually, you will notice how the world around you begins to change, not because circumstances have become easier, but because you have become stronger and wiser. Your life transforms into a continuous process of creating meaning, where each morning is a new chance to rewrite your story and strengthen your faithful will. A deep study of Stoicism reveals that true freedom lies not in the ability to do whatever one wants, but in the ability not to desire what is beyond our control. This is a paradoxical thought that at first seems limiting, but actually bestows incredible relief and strength on anyone who accepts it. Each morning, by reminding yourself of the boundaries of your influence, you cast off a tremendous burden of expectations and fears that most people drag through their entire lives. Imagine how much energy is freed when you stop worrying about what colleagues will think of you or whether you will achieve success in the eyes of society. You direct that energy toward doing your work to the best of your ability, toward being honest with yourself and kind to those around you, here and now. This is the path of Seneca, who, though a wealthy and influential man, always remembered the possibility of losing everything, and therefore remained inwardly free. Stoicism teaches us that wealth and fame are indifferent things. They can be used for good or for evil, and therefore they have no value in themselves. The only true good is virtue, your character, your ability to act rightly in any circumstances. And this is the one thing no one can take from you. Each morning, examine the state of your values. Has a craving for recognition or a fear of material hardship crept in? If you find these seeds of weakness, do not panic. Simply replace them gently with thoughts of courage and self-sufficiency. Life in the modern world is full of temptations and distractions that try to lead us away from our true nature and make us serve false idols of consumption. But the Stoic, each morning, draws the line between the eternal and the transitory, between what has true weight and what is mere tinsel. Your well-being should not depend on likes on social media or the purchase of a new item, because all of that is subject to chance. Your true satisfaction comes from the awareness that you have lived this hour or this day in harmony with your principles and have not betrayed your conscience for momentary gain. This inner integrity is the rocky ground on which you build your life, and no earthquake can destroy it if you reinforce it each morning with your reflections. Be strict with yourself and merciful to others. This rule will help you avoid arrogance and maintain connection with humanity while remaining faithful to your path. Your practice of Stoicism is not a competition with others, but a daily victory over your own ignorance and weakness of will, which yields the fruit of unshakable tranquility of spirit. The process of morning self-reflection inevitably leads you to see the hidden connections between all the events of your life and to recognize their deep purposefulness. The Stoics believed in a universal reason that pervades all things and directs the development of the cosmos toward the best possible outcome, even if it seems unjust or painful to us. When you tell yourself each morning, "I accept everything that will happen," you are in fact expressing trust in this great law of nature, which is wiser than your ego. Your ego desires comfort, security, and recognition, but nature often gives you difficulties, losses, and criticism, because these very things foster your growth. Look at a tree growing on a cliff top, exposed to all the winds. It is stronger and more resilient than one growing in a sheltered valley. So too your soul is tempered in the forge of trials, and each morning you should thank life for the challenges it throws at you. If everything always went according to your plan, you would remain a weak and immature being, unaware of your true strength. But Stoicism gives you the tools to turn every misfortune into a stepping stone toward wisdom, and every defeat into a valuable lesson. Tell yourself every morning that you are ready for struggle and that you are not afraid of scars, because they are the insignia of a warrior of the spirit. Your daily life is your battlefield, where you fight not external enemies, but your own passions, anger, despondency, envy. Each morning you inspect your armor and sharpen your sword of reason, prepared to meet any opponent with a clear gaze and a steady hand. This does not mean you should be cold or unfeeling. The Stoic experiences emotions, but does not allow them to govern behavior. You may feel fear, but you act in spite of it, because duty and reason demand it. You may feel sorrow at the loss of a loved one, but you do not let it turn into endless suffering that destroys your life and prevents you from helping those who remain.
This resilience is the fruit of daily morning reflections, which create around your soul a protective barrier that does not let in the poison of external negativity. Imagine that you walk through a thick fog of uncertainty, but inside you burns a bright lantern of your convictions, illuminating the path a few steps ahead. That is enough to keep moving and not lose your way, even if you cannot see the ultimate destination of your journey. Live today as if it were itself a complete work of art, in which nothing is superfluous and everything is in its proper place. In conclusion of this colossal reflection on the practice of Stoicism, it is essential to understand that your morning rituals are merely preparation for the main trial, which takes place in the thick of life itself. The words of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus will remain mere letters on paper if you do not turn them into the living flesh of your actions and decisions. Each morning, when you recite these 6 truths, you enter into a sacred contract with yourself that you will be the guardian of your humanity under all circumstances. Do not seek easy paths and do not rely on luck, because luck is something external, whereas your mastery of life is always with you. Remember that every breath you take brings you closer to the moment when your cycle will end, and you will return to the bosom of nature from which you came. And this thought should fill you not with horror, but with a solemn awareness of the significance of the present moment. Your non-existence is merely a return home after a long and interesting journey, and your task is to make that journey worthy of admiration. Tell yourself every morning, I am here, I am alive, I possess reason, and I choose virtue. This is the most powerful declaration of independence a human being can proclaim. Let your day be filled with the quiet joy of fulfilling your duty and the deep peace that comes from the absence of inner conflict. You are no longer a victim of circumstances, a plaything in the hands of fate, or a slave to others' opinions. You are a Stoic, the architect of your inner universe and the master of your soul. Each evening, as the sun inclines toward sunset, you will be able to look back on the day you have lived and say to yourself, I did everything within my power. I preserved my calm, and I acted justly. And this account to yourself will be your highest reward, incomparable to any earthly goods. And the next morning, you will open your eyes again, hear the beating of your heart, and begin this great process anew, reaffirming your fidelity to the ideals of reason and courage. Stoicism is a path that lasts a lifetime. And on this path, there are no stops, but each step along it makes you freer, stronger, and more human. May these 6 thoughts become your faithful companions, your shields, and your guiding stars in the ocean of modern life. Awaken now, cast aside doubt, and go forward with a clear mind and an open heart, ready to meet the fate which you have learned not only to accept, but to love with the full depth of your being, knowing that everything in this world happens according to the great and just law to which the motion of the stars and the beating of your pulse at this very moment both submit. Write in the comments, I am a Stoic, as our sign for those who have come this far and understood the essence. If this resonance has echoed within you, share it with someone who might need it. Remember, the most important battle and the greatest victory always take place within.